Well, there it is. Nice new fat juicy Dunlop tire. Gotta go look up the torque for this, but looking good. Well, I guess it's around day 14 of owning the Pacific Coast, and after reading all kinds of what I think are rather peculiar suggestions about how to change the rear tire on the Ghost, you know, park it next to a hole, put it up on blocks, and then try to put it up on another block, and yada yada. I decided to read the Honda manual, and of course they thoughtfully provided an easy way to change the spare tire. Take out these two screws, unhook his tail light, unplug a couple of plugs, and guess what? You've got all the room in the world there. Put it on the center stand, take out the tail light. There's two screws that hold it in, and it plugs into two things. And there's two electrical plugs to disconnect. How hard can it be? So anyway, all those goofy ideas didn't help much. So here's the wheel. Cleaned it up with some, what do you call it, simple green and water, and got all the crud off it. And just wiped this part out with paper towels. No solvents of any kind, just wiped all the old, I guess it's probably dried molybdenum grease from the drive, and cleaned the brake dust out of here. Looks like I need to get in here and clean a little bit more. And here's my rear brake, and I just decided that I was going to measure the thickness of the rear brake, so let's do that together and share the experience, right? Let me zero this thing out. So measuring both the pad and the backing plate for the shoe, you got 0.325, and the what do you call it, the lining itself. Hard to do this with the, just had my eyes dilated, I can't see shit. Get this on here. Well, looks like we've got 0.153, and 125 is 1/8 of an inch. 1/6 of an inch is 1.67, I think. So that's about what we got. And I'll just let you look at the shoes. Look okay here. I think these brakes are fairly worn, judging by the lever position, but there's really a lot of meat on those brakes. I wonder if this is one leading shoe and one trailing. I don't think they do that on a rear brake. I think that's for a front brake. So I don't know. I think the wear looks fairly even here. There's so much meat on those that I'm not going to worry about replacing those brake shoes right now. I think this winter I will pull the rear wheel again and pull the drive shaft out and lubricate the splines, and at that time maybe I'll think about putting a new set of brake shoes in here. It's $45 for a new set of brake shoes. It's not a lot of money, but they ain't broke, don't fix it. So the one thing that's been going on in my mind is I clean these splines up real good. In fact, they clean them up so good they're starting to rust. You know, I'm trying to figure out, well, do I need the fancy-dancy 60% Moly lube for these or not? It's not a sliding joint, you know, it's just a gear insertion. So I've got the Honda Moly Paste M77, which is not the prime stuff for the drive shaft splines, but I think it's going to be more than good enough for this, and I think I'll reassemble that. And I've got the what do you call it, Locktite Moly Paste 65% molybdenum coming, and so this winter when I do the shaft, I'll do these with that too. But I think for the next couple of months and getting a little riding out of it this summer, that the Honda M77 Moly Paste will be more than adequate for this. So that's where we go. Doesn't look too bad for a 31-year-old wheel, but man, is this wheel heavy. I don't have a scale here to weigh it, but I would guess that this weighs over 40 pounds. It weighs a lot. Well, there it is. And that's a Honda 77 Moly Paste. And can't really see it, but there's actually an O-ring right back in there. So this flat flange here probably doesn't need to have any of that on it, but it won't hurt anything. So filling the grooves pretty much. I did not clean the mating surfaces on the drive end of this, and not sure whether I want to or whether I want to leave the stuff that's in there. I think I will. There was virtually no wear to be seen on these splines here at all, so they're in good shape. Whatever was on there was working fine. It was some kind of moly goop, but I don't know what. But so anyway, I think this will be alright. I'm going to clean some brake dust off of my brake assembly, and I'm going to think about whether or not I want to break the glaze on the inside of the drum. I'm going to flip this over and show you that. So here's the surface of the brake drum, and run my fingernail over it, and it's pretty smooth. And I'm trying to decide whether or not to try to break that glaze with a little emery cloth. There's one little score in here that runs right around. Not very deep. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not a heavy back brake user anyway, just enough to balance things out. We all know the front brake does 70% of the work anyway, so if you're using it for more than 30%, you're not using it right. Anyway, I think it's pretty good. Thank God, I think they put a little nick in that. I don't think that was there before. But, I don't think it's going to make any difference. Wheel bearings doing the work. So anyway, there we go. They didn't take my old weight off. They added new weights, but they didn't take the old weight off. Isn't that interesting? Well, sure is a beast of a rim. I can't quite get used to how heavy this rim is. I'm going to put my magnet on here. I think it's aluminum, but it's so heavy. God, it's hard to believe that it is. Well, here's my brand new tire. And bought the tire from Cycle Gear online. They shipped it to their store, and they mounted and balanced it for $25, and the price was within, 50 cents or $1 of whoever the other big discount tire seller is. I can't think of the name of them, but there was something. They made it look like it was going to be $10 cheaper, but then they added a $10 tire fee on in the shopping cart, so the price ended up being almost exactly the same as Cycle Gear. And since you save 25 bucks a wheel if you buy your tire either from Cycle Gear or from Revzilla, they're partners, either one of them will ship directly to the store. You don't have to fill out any extra forms, and then you save half on the mounting and balancing. They do it for 25 bucks a piece instead of 50. So it was kind of a no-brainer there. So I bought it direct from Cycle Gear. I was going to buy it from Revzilla, but I ended up buying it from Cycle Gear because it was just one less website. Anyway, good price. The two tires shipped and tax and all that crap was under $300, $290 some for the two tires. About $120, $113 for the front and $130 or something for the rear, and then you add all the taxes and other fees, and it ends up being about 295 bucks. But anyway, nice brand new rubber. The other one was an old Dunlap, 16 years old, and it was so worn, it was just bald. There was no groove, so they'd worn down a 1/4 inch of rubber off of that thing and just kept running. 16 years old, the old tire was. This one is a nice fresh tire. Well, there it is, ready to go back in the bike. Just took a little cleaner and put them on the surface of the brake shoes, but they were clean anyway. Cleaned up some of the excess brake dust. Put a tiny little bit of NGLI brake grease on this pivot point right here. Just a little film of it. Everything works nice and smooth, nice and clean, so ready to go back in the hub here and go back on the motorcycle. So get out there and do that. Got to put just a little film of grease in here. Might put just a little bit on the ends of that barrel that go through there, and where the rod goes through. Just keep it nice and smooth and keep it from corroding. And a little bit of grease on the axle when it goes in. Be sure to put the spacer in the right way. Wouldn't be any big deal. I didn't put any cleaner on the outside of that hub. I didn't clean that hub at all. Maybe I should do that. Okay, I've just rolled that brand new highly inflated rear tire in there, and there's just oodles of room. So all I'm saying is that Honda's not their first rodeo, and they designed this so that it's easy to do, and you don't need any special hoo-ha's. Don't need any blocks, you don't need any holes, you don't need any precipitous driveways. All you got to do is take that rear taillight out of there, and they made it real easy. Well, there it is. Nice new fat juicy Dunlop tire. Gotta go look up the torque for this, but looking good. Well, if you haven't got the manual, it's 80 foot-pounds for this axle nut. I guess 90, it's 80. This pinch boat, 20 foot-pounds. This nut here, I think it's about 15 or 16 foot-pounds. So, if you haven't got the manual, there you go.